How NFL players make millions from the Super Bowl. The NFL is one of the highest paying sports organizations in the world. To illustrate, just days before the start of the NFL's 100th season, Jared Goff, quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams, signed a 4-year, $134 million contract extension. With 110 warranties, the 24-year-old set a record for the most money insured in the league. So here are the 5 crazy salaries in the NFL for you to find out who the highest paid players in the league are. And then we delve into the players' preferences when it comes to spending their first income. Join us until the end and you'll be surprised. Welcome to Luxury 10s, the channel where money only matters if you learn how to use it. Number 5, Carson Wentz. The Philadelphia Eagles quarterback earns $32 million a year and has the second best cash contract with $107.9 million. The deal was for the next 4 seasons. Number 4, Jared Goff. Los Angeles Rams quarterback earns $33.5 million a year and will continue with his team until 2024 with his contract extension. Number 3, Aaron Rodgers. The Green Bay Packers QB signed a 4-year contract in August 2018 with $103 million guaranteed and an annual salary of $33.5 million. Number 2, Ben Roethlisberger. The winner of Super Bowl 40 signed a contract extension for the next 2 years in April this year with an annual salary of $34 million. Number 1, Russell Wilson. Finally, the highest paid man in the entire league is the quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks with an annual salary of $35 million. In April, the player signed a $140 million contract with $107 million guaranteed and a no-exchange clause. How can they pocket such a fortune? Each season, the NFL increases by 5% the money set aside for players facing the playoffs. The league's postseason fund is about $47.4 million, which doesn't include the money given to players who play in the Pro Bowl. A certain amount is allocated per round. Just for participating in the first round, an athlete earns $28,000, but those who are crowned champions will have accumulated a total of $242,000, which is half of the minimum wage that a rookie can earn in the NFL. Just for winning this year's Super Bowl, the amount rises to $124,000, while the losing team will get $62,000, according to league figures. 5 years ago, the minimum amount was $23,000 and the maximum was $102,000, which was for the Super Bowl winners. Thus, the maximum amount a player accumulated was $198,000. Not bad, right? Does that pretty much match your salary? The salary that players receive from the teams is only during the regular season, since their participation in the playoffs is subsidized by the league. These payments are made 15 days after the round they have played. Although the players do not receive this part of the amount described above for their participation in the playoffs, the amount can vary according to what is stipulated in their contract. For the incentives or bonuses that are agreed for participation in that stage of the competition, this is money received by the 53 elements that are in the active roster, although there are some specifications. So the athletes can get paid if they must be in the roster for at least 3 previous games, either regular or postseason. If they are on the reserve list and with 1 year played, they must have a valid contract. In the case of players who are not in the active roster but who are registered during 8 games, they can be contemplated, but if their contract is with another team from the same conference, they cannot be contemplated. The league's salary has been contemplated since 1967 when the first Super Bowl was held in Kansas City and Green Bay. The Packers players who won the Super Bowl earned $15,000, which when adjusted to inflation is $114,816, a figure the league gave in the 52nd edition. The Chiefs team, being the losers, received $7,500 per player, which now means $57,408. But do you want to know what all that money can be spent on if you have an NFL mentality? Fancy cars, sharks, tigers, super fancy watches, and fish tanks. These are some of the many examples of how they waste their money, and how this is a risk for young rookies who can empty their bank accounts quickly. The first NFL check is wonderful, but the stories of players, agents, coaches, and finance agents should serve as a warning to those rookies who sign their contracts. That money can disappear when you try to live the lifestyle of a 10-year NFL veteran. Want to know some of the most common cases of NFL player waste? Number 1, cars. Bentleys, the new Mercedes-Benz, BMW 7 Series, Audi A8. The player's parking lot on a game day is full of expensive cars. It looks like a super luxury car show if you play in places like Miami, Atlanta, and Dallas. Heading north, Green Bay and Buffalo, you'll see more F-150s and Chevy Tahoes. Neither you can't drive 22-inch rims in the snow. Salt will eat through those high-priced tires. Now, for an 8-season league veteran who makes a couple $1 million a year, with millions in the bank, of course, they can afford it. But the rookies? There's no way. We've seen a 7th round pick come into the state of the game in an Escalade. Looks good, doesn't it? I'm sure until the rookie gets injured and fired from the special teams. Number 2, tigers as pets. You can't have tigers. The same ones you see at the zoo, walking in your garden. Those things can eat people, but a player bought a tiger cub and let him walk around in the yard. Those neighborhoods around the football teams are not ready to see a tiger walk in the streets. The Animal Protection Department thinks the same thing when it comes to a tiger. Number 3, mansions. I love it when a professional player rewards his parents or grandparents with a new home after he was selected in the draft. Getting back to the family a little bit, that's great. But when you start comparing houses for your friends and your uncle, it puts you in a bottomless pit. One player didn't like his parking space at his house, so he bought the house next door. Why? So he could park his truck there so his friends could use the space too. In 2004, a few years before the financial bubble burst in the United States, kids in the league were comparing properties everywhere. Investment, they said. But all that was lost, and it's very difficult to sell mini mansions when the market is down. Pools, guest houses, garages full of cars, these things will hit you, and a foreclosure is no joke. Number 4, car accessories. New rims are one thing, but you see guys with wide tires and a lot of electronics. One player had a TV installed at the head of the seat in the 3rd row of his truck. Why? Well, he thought it would look nice if people behind him could also watch some movies when he was standing at a light, while another guy had a fish tank in his truck. What about the Louis Vuitton lined seats? When you start putting that kind of extravagance in it, the money goes fast. Number 5, bad investments. Iraqi currency, banks in Florida, floating furniture in rainy areas. You can invest in anything, right? And many players take the bait. Investments in new companies are financial adventures that are discussed all the time in the locker room. One player gets hooked and the others follow. You could very easily lose out. That Iraqi currency? Players invested $40,000 and got absolutely nothing. Everything would disappear. Number 6, jewelry. When he went to watch the rookie team, a first-round player arrived wrapped in diamonds. The chain, the earrings, the watch from head to toe, and he only played a couple of seasons before he was fired and he gets out of the league. It's okay to reward yourself with good jewelry, and give your wife some too, but why become in Mr. T? You gotta take it easy a little bit. Number 7, dogs. Spend $50,000 on a military-style trained German Shepherd. Sniffer dogs brought in from Spain, air conditioning in the doghouse, receipts for $5,000 from the pet store spent on the dog alone. I like dogs too, but you have to draw the line somewhere. Number 8, theaters at home. They are having theaters at home, and they do exist. The seats, the sound, the wall-to-wall screen, all that goes in the house that you eventually have to sell when you're fired. You can't take the theater with you. I guess maybe the seats. Number 9, suits. Rookies don't need to have custom-made suits like veterans, but again, this is a bigger problem with young people. They want to look like the veterans or compete with them, but then try to do it on the first year's budget. Go buy a suit at Macy's and you're done. Number 10, Las Vegas. Everybody loves Las Vegas. Playing blackjack, rolling the dice, a lot of fun, right? Sure, but that doesn't include the drink service every night at the clubs. $20,000 for a bottle of cognac, and the gambling at the casinos, or the bill after partying all weekend. A player placed a $25,000 bet at the Palms and found the FBI knocking on his door after he signed his contract. That signing bonus? It's gone. If by chance you get to debut in the NFL, remember, federal and state taxes are real and the agent takes 3%. You don't have as much money as you think. Get on the court and make some plays and stay in the league for more than a year before you start spending like a 5-time professional bowl pick. That's the advice of some players who have tasted the honey of excess and then suffered the consequences. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you like the video. We upload this kind of material often, so hit the bell, give us a like, and see you in the next video.